I left the walls drenched in the sweat and blood of the tenacious Norman besiegers. My comrades and I usually would rush straight to the inn after a fight, but not today. My father, the heroic Michael Nauticus, savior of Bari, awaited me. I found the wizened old man staring out the window towards the enemy camp. Foul, treacherous mercenary scum. Son, the inhabitants of this peninsula have courted mercenaries for centuries. Not one bit of good it did them. Weary of discussing Normans whose nature I knew all too well, I inquired about our rich family heritage. I asked my father instead to tell me of our ancestor Panos. My father spun around, his eyes gleaming. You wish to hear the story of the family? Our Greek blood runs back generations. Nauticus, our surname. It is so because we came as sailors. In the year 869, the knight Panos Nauticus answered the summons of his Byzantine liege, Emperor Basil II. He was to lead a force by sea to aid our ally Louis II, the Frankish king, against the Emirate of Bari.
Panos Nauticus, my forces will keep the Saracens defending Bari occupied, but you and your Byzantines must ensure that the enemy cannot threaten us from the rear.
Our scouts have located the enemy positions. If we catch them unprepared, our swift victory will be certain.
Matera is ours, Byzantines! Turn back now, or be hurled from its battlements!
The patricians in Matera come to me begging for mercy. Their tribute alone will be enough to pay my knights for months.
We hold Oria with an iron fist. If the Lombards fail to wrest it from us, how will you ever succeed?
Most of the infidel girls were empty. In their gratitude, the nobles of Oria have thrown their support behind us.
God, you Byzantines are efficient. This Saracen cavalry flee your spears like rats from prowling cats.
Our warships will send any vessels that approach our harbor to the bottom of the sea.
The Emir's galleys may as well have been piles of tinder. Our Dromons siphoned enough Greek fire to keep the harbor in Bari aflame for days. Fortune smiles upon us. Our sappers have undermined the city walls and opened a breach.
Bari cannot withstand us now. Fell deeds and eternal glory await us. In the name of God, attack!
Panos was offered lordship of Bari after his victory, but he declined, wishing to live out his days in peace. Having brought glory to his house, he settled down and started a family. The old man mused for a while, his memory slowed by wine. Louis, on the other hand, ran into trouble with the Lombards. They were not fond of yet another Frankish conqueror treading on their soil. Suddenly, a bell rang, signaling an attack and calling the city to arms. I donned my armor and rushed out the door, leaving my father to his thoughts. I walked downstairs the next morning in a daze. The battle of the previous night was fresh in my mind, and it chilled my blood. I whirled around and found myself staring straight into my father's eyes. Nothing shakes the ghost of battle like a fine story, son. Come sit down to a meal and I shall tell you of the Rebellion of Melus. The sun shone onto my father's gaunt face. He had a head of thick grey hair, and his limbs remained strong from years as a sailor and a soldier. I have donned mail since the year 1005, when I was but a lad in the service of Melus, the highest-ranking nobleman in the city. Ambitious and eager to prove myself, I soon became his best man. Melus was passionate, but his withdrawn, stealthy manner began to stir my distrust. When he invited all manner of mercenary troops into our beautiful city, I began to fear the worst.
Captain Nauticus, Melus's mercenaries have seized the city and slain the garrison. We should flee west to our allies and prepare a counterattack.
Bari is mine now. Kill all of the Byzantine scum. Send out scouting parties and find Mikhail Nauticus. I want him alive.
Our ally Pandulf in Capua has pledged his holdings to us. Now we can take the fight to Melus.
You think that your allies will keep you safe? My men will fall on you like lions on sheep.
Captain, refugees flee to us from Potenza, lamenting the fall of their town to Melus's mercenaries. We must reclaim it, and swiftly, lest we be surrounded by foes on all sides. Melus's mercenaries flee Potenza like rats. Their confidence renewed, the patricians in Potenza have called a levy to support our forces. The Byzantine general Basil Boioannes has landed in Apulia to help quell the rebellion. He sends legates to us with additional provisions and gold to fill our coffers.
You fool! You will never drive my mercenaries from Bari. Feel the wrath of my hardy Lombard warriors.
Bari is ours, Capitan. Melus, nowhere to be found. A glorious victory, nevertheless.
My father stood up to tend the fire. 1011. It had been 2 years since I had stood in the courtyard of Melus's castle in Bari. With the rebel garrison defeated, Bari was once again in Byzantine hands. Unsurprisingly, the local Katapan, or Lord, asked me to remain at the head of the force that I had recruited. Most of Melus's family was captured and imprisoned, but Melus and his brother Datus were still at large in the countryside. The rebellion was far from over. My father coughed and took another draught of wine. Melus sought aid from Salerno while Datus fortified a tower on the Garigliano River. From there they gathered support and renewed their strength. Melus reached far for help. Lombards, Germans, and Apulians answered the call, eager for glory and plunder. But there was one more group whose help Melus enlisted. A new generation of Norman adventurers, forebears of the scum who attack our city as we speak. It is because of Melus that this new menace is upon us. In response, the Byzantine Emperor sent the General Basil Boioannes and an elite force of the fabled Varangian Guard to meet Melus in the field and crush the rebellion for good. The armies drew up near the river of Fanto, not far from where the Romans had clashed with Hannibal of Carthage some 12 centuries earlier. The fate of Mezzogiorno was about to be decided.
Commander Boioannes, Melus and his allies ready their forces across the river. Lead us to a swift victory and end the terror that they have brought to Apulia.
Boioannes' forces threaten our camp. Send forth all reserves.
12 centuries ago, a barbarian horde massacred our Roman forebears on this very field. Now, it is the barbarians who lie slain beyond count. Quarter has fallen, and his Norman knights take to flight. Fortune is with us, Commander.
Not unlike its predecessor, the Second Battle of Cannae was a massacre. The Lombards and their Norman allies were no match for Boyanes' strategic prowess and the ferocity of his Varangian troops. Melus fled the field and sought refuge with the Pope, which sent him to the court of the Holy Roman Emperor. He gradually poisoned the minds of several influential courtiers, and eventually the Emperor himself. Melus died in exile, but the effects of his political machinations were soon to be felt throughout Italy. The rebellion was over, but Boyanes still had a difficult task before him. The once rich province of Apulia lay in tatters, and the hostility of its northern neighbors did not bode well for the future. Melus's brother Datos still preyed on the surrounding lands from his lair on the Garigliano. Additionally, rumor quickly spread of Holy Roman armies massing in the north. Boyanes was not about to let his hard-earned gains slip away like a fish from the net. The odds were against him, but he had a loyal army and a plan. The Apennine Pass was the gateway to southern Italy, and Boyanes intended to fortify it. Thousands of soldiers and masons followed him to the ruins of Acre, an ancient Roman city near the mountains, and began construction of a citadel named Troia. Boyanes would restore the grandeur of Byzantine power in Italy, or die in the effort.
The fortress at Troia is complete. Now all that remains is to defend it from enemy attacks. Our allies in Capua will assist us, but we must ensure that their city remains safe. We cannot afford to be outflanked! The Benedictine monks at Monte Cassino have been funding our foes for months! Just give the command, and I will tear their abbey down brick by brick! Marvel at the gold and relics of Monte Cassino, comrades! Have you ever seen such riches? Commander, our scouts report that the Holy Roman and Papal forces are exchanging supplies via a pass through the Apennines to the north. We should put an end to this immediately. Ha! Not even the hand of God could open that mountain pass again. Just like Caesar, we shall divide and conquer our enemies. We have prevailed thus far, but it is not yet over. Hold the castle for 30 more minutes.
Hail, Basil Boyoannes. We once stood on opposite sides of the battlefield, but for a small price, my men and I are willing to bury the past and help you defend Troya. Splendid. Our chevaliers will prove their worth 10 times over against the Holy Roman forces. Bonjour!
Boyoannis, you may have defeated my brother Melus, but my men and I still carry on the fight. You will rue the day that you set foot in Apulia.
Datus is valiant of tongue, but he has a cold hand for battle. We should tear down his tower on the Garigliano and put an end to his rebellion!
The Pope and I have agreed that God does not wish for you Byzantines to hold land in Italy. We will install our vassal, Melus, as Duke of Apulia.
These are forces approach our tower. I will soon be praised either for a remarkable death or for despoiling my enemies. For Melus!
Commander, Datus lies in irons. His tower, a smoking ruin. He requests a remarkable death. Might I suggest the Pinnacolei?
The Holy Roman Empire was no trifling opponent. Many good men fell parrying the assaults on Troia. Boannes' forces struck out at Datus' tower on the Garigliano and dragged him from it. Following the ancient Roman custom, Datus was confined in a leather sack with a rooster, a monkey, and a viper, and cast into the sea. Byzantine Italy flourished under Boannes' tenure as catapan. Alas, that the incompetence of his successors have brought us to this dreadful pass. Young men seek renown on the battlefield, thinking war a noble affair. Little do they know that their quarries are in vain. There is nothing but chaos, the screams of dying men, and the stench of death. I long for peace and cheer. I can hardly remember the sound of music in the streets, and the noises of a bustling city on market day. They have been replaced by the din of battle, the whistling of rocks hurled by Norman catapults, and the solemn evening tales in the taverns told by those who cannot forget the carnage of each day. My father approached, holding a sword and his old helm, breastplate, folds and greaves. They are yours now. For 200 years our family has proudly served this city. But today, you must leave this place. I am too old for the journey. But if you live, my death will not be in vain. Someday you will tell your son this story with the same pride as I have. Fight well today, escape, and secure yourself that future.
Captain Nartikos, our situation is dire, but hope yet remains if we can hold back the Norman tide until reinforcements arrive to break the siege. The Normans surround us, but fortune favors the bold. We must strike them when and where they least expect us. I will see to it that any Norman assaults on the city walls are parried. I am placing you in charge of operations beyond the city walls. You must not fail me.
I am uneasy about looting a house of God. But in dire times, each man must be his own hope.
We have recovered a store of Norman arms from this blacksmith. These ashen ruins are all that remains of the dread Norman tower. How the hooves of the fleeing Norman horses rattle and shake the rotten ground. The Norman lumberyard was the machine driving their siege. Better times may yet be upon us. Captain, we have recovered a store of Norman arms from this blacksmith.
The Byzantines are attacking our siege engines! Aux arms!
Captain, we have recovered a store of Norman arms from this blacksmith. These siege weapons destroyed, the Norman assault will be weaker for certain.
Enough of this foolishness! I will see my flag planted atop the walls of Bari this day. Mundra!
Thus one passion grips all, to decide matters with the sword. To the defense!
The defenders fight like lions! Fall back to the camp!
We cannot hold much longer without aid. Take command of what remains of my fleet, Captain Nashikos, and clear the seas of Norman vessels!
Well done, Captain Nastikos! You are truly forever worthy of your great father's fame.
Let there be no delay in what I ask. Sail east to Byzantium and bear our plight to the ears of the Emperor.
The morning sun shone on the shores of the Aegean. I was speaking to a miller when I heard shouts from the harbor. Racing to the docks, I recognized several Barians disembarking from a battered vessel. The tidings were grim. Bari was in Norman hands, and my father had fallen valiantly along with it. I thought of his parting words, but I doubt that I will ever don his armaments again. Like my ancestor Panos, I have seen enough battle for 10 lifetimes. I think I shall travel the Empire, from Thessaly to Anatolia, seeking work as I go. With all luck, I will earn enough wealth to buy a house in the countryside and raise miles of vineyards on the hillside. Perhaps one day when I recount the tale of my family to my children and grandchildren, I will be able to conclude it with how we have found peace at last.